Let me tell you about the life I live, right? Better known as the baller life. Let's not. I'm all about my baller status, just doing it big on a daily basis, like cruising in my car, chilling at the bar.
Alright, so we're going to get started on working on the front suspension. I just got some front coilover struts that are pre-assembled because there's no point in putting on some extremely expensive struts because this is an older model. This is 2005. So first we're going to start by taking off the tire. So I'm going to be using my earthquake impact wrench from Harbor Freight. This thing works beautifully. I've got a 21 millimeter for my tire. Comes off like butter though. Works beautifully. Like, see, I don't know what I did before, but this thing is amazing. And there's yet to be something that I can't take off with this thing. Put our tire off to the side. Already looking at this, you can tell that these sway bar links need changed out. The suspension honestly isn't that bad, but hey, we're gonna go ahead and change that out regardless. All right, first we're gonna mess with the sway bar links. $17 millimeter. And then on the back, we gotta hold it steady because they're also to keep spinning. You can see if that can hold it tight for us so we can spin it off. Okay, we got our 17 millimeter. Let's see if it'll come right off. Ooh, look at that. Top one came off like butter. Okay, for the one on the inside, I'm gonna have to get an extension and go under the car and see if we can reach it. All right, guys, I'm gonna be reaching for this back bolt on the sway bar link. It's a pretty long reach. Let's try a 10-inch with maybe about a 3-inch and see if we can get it with that. So we got a 13-inch extension. So I'm going to be jacking up the lower control arm so it'll bring up the sway bar. So now we've got the sway bar lifted. Let's see if that'll give us more room. Let's get this link off. Impact wrench attached. There we go. And there we are. Got our sway bar link off. Oh yeah, that's awful. Look at that. You're usually not supposed to move those. This top part's good, but look at all that. That's crazy. Now I'm on the driver's side. I ran into some issues getting off this bottom bolt. Top bolt came off just fine, just like the last one. So what I gotta do is cut it off. So I'm gonna wedge in here. I got my eye protection on, and here we go. This tool from Harbor Freight, it stalls out, so I gotta continuously hit it. Okay, now I gotta cut off. I gotta grind out what's on top. So I'm not quite finished yet. There we go. Completely cut off. Now one last thing. since this is exposed metal, I'm going to go ahead and spray paint that as well. I don't want there to be any rust issues in the future, so I just went ahead and got a little bit of cardboard where I can put underneath and behind it. I've got some black spray paint. I'm just going to shake this up, and I'm going to give that some coats of black paint. I'm not really worried about what it looks like because I'm just going to be putting another sway bar link there. With the sway bar link off, we're going to start by detaching this whole front suspension here at the knuckle and then at the top at the hood. Chances are these have not, I mean, just from the look of it, these have not been changed at all either. But I'm going to start by detaching the brake hose, get those out of my way. Obviously I don't want to do any damage to these brake lines. I'm going to put some nut buster on here. Make it a little bit easier, saturate these. With just a flathead screwdriver, and make a indentation on this knuckle. And now that we got a mark here, I'll be able to put it right back where it was previously so we don't throw our alignment off and make for a terrible drive. So let's see what size these bolts are on the knuckle. 17 millimeter. The wrench on the knuckle is 11/16. So we're gonna hold that steady. Get our impact wrench. There we are. So I had to use my 3-inch extension on my 17 millimeter socket because it's kind of a tight space. So I'm going to start unscrewing. That side's not moving at all. Let's see if we can get it from the back then. First we're going to start by getting this brake line off. First you got to remove the clip. I'm going to use these pliers here. Start wiggling it out. There's our clip. And there's our front brake line off. Let's get our brake line out of the way. What it looks like. It's a 17 on this side as well. There we are. With the sledgehammer, just gonna pop that bolt out. So the bottom part is completely detached from the knuckle. Now we got to go to the top. Underneath the hood, this is where our front strut connects. We're going to be taking out these three. We're not going to mess with the center because that's where it holds the spring in, which is very dangerous if we let that go. So we're going to unscrew the top. These are 14 millimeter. It's ready to drop right out. With the top unscrewed, our knuckle can now move out of the way. Let's get our sledgehammer here. Be careful of the brake lines. And here's our complete front strut. Got our old one next to our new one. Look how beautiful that one looks. So we're just gonna match it up, make sure it looks the same, identical. We got our brake line right there, clip holder, I mean. Got another one there, just like that one. Got our sway bar link, attachments, and it looks to be perfect. I'm gonna start by lightly attaching the bottom and bringing it up through the top. Getting our old bolts ready. Once again, watching the brake lines. Okay, I got one in. Bottom one in. Let's get our bolts on. I'm gonna jack it up a little bit. And then we'll attach it at the top. Now that our front suspension is pushed through the top, we got our new bolts. These actually are 15 millimeter. So I'm going to twist these on lightly before using our impact wrench. And let's start tightening these up. Are on there nice and tight, and then we'll go back to the bottom. Looking at the line that I previously made on the knuckle, looks like it lines up perfectly, so I don't have to really push on that too much. We got our 11/16 to hold our bolt steady for tightening. Got our 17 millimeter socket, fits perfect. We're going to tighten it up. Once again, with this bottom one, it's kind of hard to get to, so I'm going to actually tighten it from the back. And then I'm going to attach our brake line back on there. Just like what I heard from other people that bought these drop-ins. I'm going to have to saw down these back pins. Let's see if I can show them to you. There's these back pins here for whatever reason. And I'm going to be grinding those off because it's stopping me from putting the brake line in. Putting on my glasses. Got my cutoff tool right here. I'm going to tape off these brake lines because you never know, something might happen where it swings forward and I don't want to have to replace the brake lines, you know? This is not a brake line video. It's not happening, not today. There we go. All the way grinded off. Let's take all this tape off. Then all the way grinded off. And we'll get our brake line in. Our brake line's put in place and they're secure. Put our other brake lines in. Yeah, they pop right into place. Now with everything attached, we're gonna get our sway bar link. Got these new good looking sway bar links for both sides. So we're gonna get these ready. Let's just make sure these both look identical. Yeah, these are identical. Go under the brake line. Into the hole. We're going to use some anti-seize so it's a little easier to get those off next time. With those spinned on lightly, we're going to see what size these new bolts take. Okay, bigger than the last one. It's not 17 anymore. Okay, these ones are 18s. Thanks, guy, whoever's using that blower. Like, geez. On these, there is a place for a wrench to sit in the back. Okay, looks to be 11/16. The front socket is an 18. Got our top one bolted in tight. And we're gonna have to do what we did to get the bottom one off. Now that I gained access to the back, I've got the 18 millimeter socket here with a 3-inch extension attached to a 10-inch extension. Then I'm gonna get back there with my impact wrench and we're gonna tighten that up. Now that I got this all attached, I'm gonna reattach the 11/16 to the back. And I'm going to start tightening with the impact wrench. Doesn't seem to be very tight, so I'm going to use one of my own socket wrenches here. See if I can get it at a better angle. It's just a tricky area. I don't know. Even I've done this a couple times already, like, never fails. These sway bar links can be a pain. Okay, that appears to be on there as tight as possible. And that is a complete front side suspension change. Alright guys, I got new sway bar links, nice and tight on there. We got our new front strut with coilover. This is our driver's side. Same thing on the passenger side. We got new tight sway bar links and also the passenger strut with coilover. Now that our front suspension is done, I'm going to be using a torque wrench. I've learned my lesson in the past that if you don't use a torque wrench, you're going to break off a wheel stud. So I got it torqued to 80. I'm going to tighten it up loosely up here, and then I'm going to finish tightening it after we bring it down to the ground. Now that we're on the ground, we're going to torque it to 80, going in a star pattern. I'm just going to check them all. Alright, front suspension finished.